the goal isn't constant happiness and
Yeah.
constant joy and then feeling like, oh no, I always have to find this or I'm failing
Yeah.
at something.
That's not the human experience.
Welcome to Elevated Life, Real Wellness and Transformation Podcast, where we walk alongside the internally driven individual as they transform their life through wellness, movement, mindset, and personal responsibility. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's jump in.
So I'm sitting in the corner in my Adirondack chair, and the first thing I thought was, nobody puts baby in the corner. But apparently they do. So we're going to jump in today, guys. This is tools. We're giving straight tools. No stories, no whatever, just tools. So what kind of tools are we giving today?
No stories?
Well, I mean, obviously we're going to elaborate as we go through,
Okay.
but do you have a story?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe about some of these.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going the best mental health advice I've ever received.
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff, as we read through, there are 10 things that we're going to talk about. This is kind of like a summary podcast almost, because it's all stuff. I don't think there's anything new or earth shattering or anything, but it's just going to be a good compilation of a lot of different things.
Reminders, right? So do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I will. Number 1, stop replaying conversations that ended days ago. This one is so, do you want me to read the other part too?
I do, because I want to speak to that.
Your mind doesn't need to keep reliving what your body has already survived.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to speak to
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Your nervous system doesn't know if it happened a decade ago or if it happened today. So your body responding is the same response that it had a decade ago, whatever that thing was, right? Whether it was some major trauma, whether it was a conversation that you just keep replaying, it really does nothing to stay in your peace, right? Like, so speak to that, because you were going to say something before you pass the mic.
Yeah. I actually want to combine that, and I know I'm just jumping to number 2, but the ideas are related. So number 2, your mind can be unreliable when you're hurting. Not every thought is true. Anxiety often speaks with certainty, but it doesn't always speak with accuracy. And so I was going to talk about this with number 1, but I think they're combined because what I've had a tendency to do in the past with reliving old conversations is then, and completely agree with you, and was going to say the same thing, your body doesn't know, but it also, I have a tendency or had a tendency to add, so not only are you replaying a conversation, but now you're adding bits and pieces, and even if they're little, sometimes they're big, but then so it's not only reliving the past conversation, but it's like expanding it and so
growing it, fueling a raging fire.
Yeah, that one doesn't need to be restoked, but 2, what didn't even have that much fuel potentially to begin with, and that's not always the case, but that's what I find is, with any just memory, we tend to,
Sorry. Thought I lost my coffee, God forbid.
We tend to exaggerate, and whether it's good or bad, the concept of rose-colored glasses is a very real thing. And so in the context of this, whatever the poop-colored glasses, I guess, of just staying in some moment and then elaborating or expanding that moment of something that maybe didn't even actually happen.
Sure. And, if you have a tendency to do this, I want you to pull yourself back in and feel your body and how your body is responding to it. What usually happens? Your heart starts pounding, you get angry, you start creating scenarios. It's a whole scene that can ruin your moment, your day, sometimes your week, whatever that is, right? Like leave the past in the past. Now, what I will say with these two things, way easier said than done, along with developing your body and muscles. This is a mental muscle that you have to develop over time. So give yourself grace and credit for how you're doing better in this.
I think one other thing to add to that, and then we can move on if you want, or we can hit on number 2 more because we kind of lumped them in. But the concept of, especially as you're first developing that muscle, you it's hard to control the initial thought
Yeah.
that you have. And so, it's hard to control whether it's that conversation that pops back up or, the unreliability of your mind and you start getting anxiety and accurate, because it's not accurate, that kind of thing. The important thing to develop that muscle is what you do with that thought.
Sure.
So there's nothing wrong with those thoughts coming into your head, especially as you're initially developing it.
You're
because,
human.
Yeah, you can't control it.
Yeah.
But how you respond to that thought
For
is
sure.
really the key.
Yep. I absolutely agree. Do you want to move on to number 3?
Sure. Number 3, rest is productive too. A tired mind sees life through a darker lens. Sometimes you don't need to give up. You simply need to recover.
Yeah. We have such a hustle culture. And there's this weird thing where, like, if I'm not doing something, then I'm being lazy. And especially like for Gen X and older, what's your generation? Millennials?
X, my
No, you're not,
generation is
dude.
X.
You're not. But that's okay. Like, you don't have to feel bad about that. But I'm just saying for our generation, right? We were taught that it's lazy. You're lazy, you're being unproductive. I was like,
Sure.
sitting around was just not an option. And not only was I told that, but that was modeled to me, right? My stepmom couldn't sit still. And really it's just because she was dysregulated, all growing up. And then my dad, was constantly, you gotta hustle, hustle, hustle. And what that leads to is complete burnout. You're pouring yourself out everywhere and there's no recovery time, mentally and physically. It's so important. And doing this, resting, will help with 2 and 1 because you're going to be able to stop and pause and think through logically, the interactions or whatever. Because I'm not saying when we talk about number 1, I'm not saying just forget it and don't even, address what
Sure.
happened in those previous conversations. Letting it move through you and out is the important thing. That happens during rest, right? That's when that actually happens. So,
And part of the reason why some people feel like they can't rest, whether they realize it or not, is that stuff does happen. And so then it's like, well, I don't want to address those things because those are painful. That's hard memories.
Yeah.
So, man, if I just keep doing,
if
I just keep whatever that is, even, so often, and we've talked about this so many times, those things that you're doing aren't even necessarily productive.
No.
It's just,
spinning
I
in circles.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. It's me with my vacuuming and sweeping, right? That I know it's weird. But that's what I would do. It's just like, oh, nope, don't think. Here we go. Let's vacuum for the 15th time today because, the dog walked in and then walked out. So it's time to do that again.
So yeah, very intentional rest, I
Yeah.
think is the key. Really valuing that as much as you value whether you're vacuuming or building something or whatever your quote unquote productive things are. Valuing and having as much intentionality with the rest is just as important.
I'm glad you said that because resting doesn't mean disassociating. So when we say rest, what I am saying, and I think I can speak for Clint, this doesn't mean I'm going to rest and and maybe it does it sometimes, and, scroll endlessly on my phone or binge watch Netflix. And sometimes it is that,
Mhm.
right? But when I talk about rest, I'm talking about being quiet with yourself, letting yourself process, and then letting it go, right? Whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's obviously going to be somewhere outside doing nothing,
Mhm.
right? Laying in the yard, sitting in the yard, walking, whatever that is for you. So, yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, protect your peace more than your image. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Peace is more valuable than constant approval.
This is trending right now, and I love it, but the embodiment hasn't happened with a huge part of the population, right? Everyone's like, I'm protecting my pace. Um, but walking it out is totally different. Be observant of how your body reacts to situations, conversations, people, environments, and we'll get into this more later, but it is vital that you protect your peace. I have noticed such a difference in my countenance since I started, and I hate to say this, but just like cutting people out and also not working. Like the towards the end of my time at my job, I really started to notice the people that literally, like a hookworm, were hooked into me and literally sucking the life out of me.
Mm.
And now, I mean, here's something weird. Now that I'm not working, at 6:30, I would start to when I was working at 6:30, I would start to prepare for bed. I've been staying up till like 10 o'clock at night, full of energy, full of life, still waking up. I woke up at 3:30 this morning, just like, hi, how's it going? Poor Clint. I'm always like roll over and like, snuggle in, and I'm like, yeah, hi, I'm here.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's very freeing to embody this. When I say embody, what I mean is walking it out, right? Walk it out. Go ahead, sir. I've said my bit on that.
This one reminded me of and what you were talking about reminded me of the No Gurus podcast that we did,
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy, I guess easy, but what you're talking about with the trending stuff is it becomes your image. Protecting your peace becomes your image.
Yeah.
So then you're not really doing it. You're doing something to look like you're doing it, or
Yeah.
to, rather than actually listening to yourself and understanding what your actual piece is.
Your body responds to energy because we are all energy. So, really, what I would encourage you to do for this tool is just listen to your body and how it responds to people, places, and things. And then you're going to know what you need to protect your energy from. And be unapologetic about this, right? Like it says, peace is more valuable than constant approval. Like, who cares? Who cares if people get pissed at you? Who cares what they think? If they're already pissed at themselves. I mean, honestly, like just move on.
And
Okay.
yeah, and it ties into the next one I'll get to in a second, but it's definitely one of those things, if people are getting pissed off at you because you're protecting your peace and doing it in a way, there's always
Nuance.
nuance. Yeah, it's a perfect word, because
So true.
you can't be an asshole
No,
about
I'm
it.
protecting my peace. I don't ever want to talk to another human.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
oh no, you're a piece of shit and I'm going to protect my peace by telling you that. That's not what we're talking about.
Mm-mm. No, notice it energetically, honestly. And then you don't have to be vocal about it. You just move the other direction. Everything doesn't have to be this grandstand of, oh my gosh, fuck around and find out, good vibes only. I'm
Mm.
protecting my peace.
It
Maybe Go ahead.
So
Maybe you're the problem.
yeah,
Maybe you're the motherfucking problem.
that just reminded me of when I see this on Twitter X, when people are like, "I'm leaving Twitter."
Totally.
Like,
I know, like,
what
I'm defending you.
yeah.
Or I don't agree with what you're saying, and I just have to tell you first that you're a douchebag, and now I'm gonna leave. Like, tell me you're for without telling me you're for. Like, and that's fine, but go back and heal that shit.
Yeah.
Because boo.
Yep.
Hey friends, if you're getting something out of this, connect with us on our social media platforms. We're at CJ Elevated Life _ on Instagram and TikTok, and CJ Elevated Life on Facebook and X. We're answering DMs, sharing daily content, and building community with people ready for real transformation. For now, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We drop 2 new episodes every week. And if this episode resonates, share it. That's how we reach more people who are ready for change. You can also find everything at cjelevatedlife.com. All right, let's keep going.
Good segue into number 5. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. Some people quietly drain your emotional well-being. Healthy boundaries protect your mental health.
We talked about this just before.
Yeah.
With number 4. Like, not everyone is meant for you, and that can be hard. I don't want to just downplay the hardness of walking away from a friendship, a family member, or whatever that is literally sucking the life out of you. It's not an easy thing. It isn't. So I don't want to like come across as like, nah, just cut them off.
So easy.
Yeah, it's not. Your brain is wired to be in that situation, whatever that is. That takes some time. But there's so much freedom on the other side of walking away from those situations.
I think the other side of what you said that's super important to remember is you aren't meant for everyone either.
Totally.
It's so easy to get caught up in the, oh, this person is bad for me, this person is bad for me, whatever. But also, it's important to recognize that you might be bad for somebody else. You aren't meant for somebody else. And I think that's when you can really wrap your head around that and realize, oh, that doesn't make me a bad person. Just like it doesn't necessarily make the other person a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
If I recognize, oh, that person isn't good for me, maybe I'm not good for them either. And maybe that's fine.
And why is it anything other than fine?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know. It's this everyone has to like me. Like, I need to mask and pretend that I'm this way with this person, this way with that person. Like, we weren't meant to be everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
And, people can spew that out again, but the walking it out is where it's like, let's try to start embodying. As we've walked with you in this podcast, we've talked about these concepts. I mean, I want to say that each one of these has probably been an entire podcast.
Yeah.
But now, if you've moved with us through this, right, through what we're doing, healing, whatever you want to, all the 50-cent words that are out there. Now we're going to really start walking in our individual power, right? That's the goal. Not just doing this fake, bullshit. Okay.
Yeah. Well said, ma'am. Number 6, stop fighting your emotions. Feel them, understand them, let them move through you. Healing begins when you stop resisting what you feel.
It's interesting because emotions are labeled as good or bad. And I feel like that is such bullshit because why were we created with them if we want to label them? Like, oh, anger is bad. Sadness is bad. What else what are you going to do? You're going to shove it into your hip, in my case, based on my body healer. And then guess what? You're going to have a hitch in your giddy up. And that's not super fun. the body keeps a score, right? All those emotions that you don't let move through you are held energetically in your body. This is why I grab my zombie bat and I fling it around. And, people are just think I'm unhinged because of it. Well, if I don't do that, then I'm going to have a hip replacement when I'm, 80, because that's where my energy is, right? Those old emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to work that out. Like, I obviously am someone who uses their voice to work things out. I'm super grateful that I have a partner that I can just be like, rah! And then I know that what I'm saying is absurd. And then I can go, okay, right? It's like those initial thoughts. It's like, rah! And then, okay, now as I calm down and I've let that anger or that sadness work through me, I can, implement all the tools of logic and love and compassion and understanding to then come to boil it down to my final, thought.
Right. Yeah.
But just stuffing it down and pretending, like, okay, that's where disease comes from. That's where all the yuckiness. It's gross. So allow yourself to feel all those feelings along with joy. I have a story. I went to Canada yesterday with Emma, and we watched a family have so much dork fun in the lake. They didn't give a shit who was watching. They were flopping around, splashing each other, just enjoying life. Like they were in their own, movie. And Emma was like, I love watching humans human unapologetically. Like, let yourself be yourself, right? Let all the emotions flow through.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would say, because this is kind of what I do on this podcast, the other side of that, and it's definitely two sides of the same coin. But something that I struggled with, and still do struggle with, is you were talking about it's okay to have those quote unquote bad or negative emotions, being sad, being angry, that kind of stuff. You also don't have to have the quote unquote positive emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to be happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just as hard on your nervous system or your mind or, whatever that might be, trying to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's like I said, it's kind of, two sides of the same coin, but I think it's an important mindset to have that the goal isn't constant happiness and
Yeah.
constant joy and then feeling like, oh no, I always have to find this or I'm failing
Yeah.
at something.
That's not the human experience. What you just did is you picked up your mask from your shelf of masks, you stuck it on, and you're faking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Number 7, stop comparing your life to social media. You're comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel. That comparison will never be fair.
I would say that it depends on your social media algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Because my algorithm looks a lot like I live in an echo chamber about what we post, what I post, so there's just no comparison because it's like, oh, you're rage dancing too. You know what I mean? But for the listener, like these people who, and I'm not saying all of them want to pretend, but they're just, giving the highlights of their life. They're human too. They are definitely having a human experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an unfortunate thing that we as the species do. and we've hit on this a lot, but it is really cool to, for certain people, for certain things, to um, find some happiness or be excited for somebody else. If they're posting pictures of their trip, or
Oh, I love it when people post pictures of
yeah,
their
because
trips.
it's cool to think, oh, they're having a
Yeah.
fantastic time. Whether or not they really are, who knows? Because it's not like they're posting, and maybe some people are posting the shitty parts of it too. But um, being able to just enjoy something with somebody else,
If I can
even if
celebrate someone's joy with them, even if 10 minutes before they got in a big ass fight, but now they're, on their ski boat having a good old time,
yeah,
woo.
yes,
Like anytime someone is finding joy on this planet, living in this earth school, yes, I'm going to be stoked for them. I don't, yeah.
yeah, the other, not the other side of it. Now I'm just going to get stuck in that, but it's definitely a lack mindset, though. If what can happen with this, comparing yourself, is, oh, that person's getting to go to Europe, or doing this fun thing, or even something simple, they got to go to the lake today. I want to go to the lake. Why didn't I get to go to the lake? They're having all this fun and I can't have fun. Rather than just being like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
Or, yeah, you can go to the lake,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you literally, and this will be a whole podcast later, you can do what you want
Mm.
on this planet. The only thing that is holding you back is your own mind. And I can say that with complete certainty. Like, oh no, John, I have kids. Oh no, I have. You literally can do anything that you want. You can. So it's just you creating your own life and how that looks like. If you are unhappy with your life, then you can go and change it. Thank you, Dirty Heads. I love that song. Oh, that's funny. All right, what's next, sir?
um, what's next is what we have been completely embodying
Hmm.
for a long time, but
Yeah.
really recently. Number 8, you're allowed to outgrow people and places. Growth sometimes requires leaving behind what no longer supports your well-being. And the point that I really want to make with that, and again, we've just had released another podcast basically talking about this
Yeah.
and where we are right now. Um, and it kind of matches with some of these other things. It doesn't, if you outgrow something, it doesn't reflect negatively on that thing necessarily. It
Yeah,
could,
totally.
but it doesn't necessarily reflect negatively, like, oh yeah, I've outgrown this place, so the place is a piece of shit.
Right.
And I think it's so easy to get that mindset
Yeah,
of,
you got
oh
to
no,
check yourself.
yeah, I've moved on, so fuck this place or those people or those things or whatever. It's not that. It's just that you've outgrown it, and that's okay.
Yeah, I remember just like 2 mornings ago, I don't know when it was. We were chatting on the back porch, and I was like, I'm so grateful for this place because I have learned so much here. I have grown in wisdom and knowledge and understanding, like insane growth. I'm so happy that this season is over. I plan on learning even more. It's going to push me even harder when we move, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a terrible place. And sometimes I can get into that when I'm dealing with low vibrational people who like to, just fucking open their mouth at the bar all the time. That's their life. That's when I get just like, dude, grow up. But not everyone's like that, right? I've met some very amazing people here. Um, and so it's not about that. And that's the same, we can apply that with people. Just because I mean, if you're outgrowing people and then you're looking back or down on them, like, oh, I'm a guru now,
Yeah.
right? Like, come on, you're moving through flow. It's like a river, right? And you're passing other fish and you're like, oh, hey, want to hang out and eat some whatever fish eat? and then you're like, okay, that was sweet. And then you move on. It's not from ego. It's not from I'm better. It's not from all this comparison, right, that we do in our head. It's just you're moving through. We're moving through this life experience. So anyway,
Number 9, speak to yourself with kindness. If your inner voice is always critical, healing becomes much harder. Treat yourself with the compassion you'd offer someone you love.
let's talk about this because I think the biggest thing is talk to yourself like you're talking to someone that you genuinely love. Like you can feel your heart vibrating. You love them so much. That's how I want you to talk to yourself because it your internal world is mirrored in your external world. So, I can always tell when someone is struggling with their internal, with the way that they speak or conduct themselves, externally. And that's where, the compassion comes in with me with humans, right? It's like if you're spewing out all this garbage, then I know that your internal world is just a clusterfuck. And then I'm like, gosh, I wish that narrative would change with humanity. That's where healing starts. So just start taking your thoughts captive. Oh my gosh, this is nauseating because we talk about this endlessly. But really evaluate how you speak to yourself. You're not stupid, you're not ugly, you're not ridiculous. I mean, maybe you embodied some of that behavior, but we all have. Every human, there's no human that hasn't embodied that behavior. Take those thought captives, forgive yourself, and move on. Hard. This is the hardest,
It,
in my opinion.
which is it. I mean, that is exactly where I was going to go because it's so fascinating to me how hard it is.
Yeah.
Because it seems like of all these things, it seems like it should be one of the easiest, especially for people that naturally are kind to others, um, or have those thoughts that then don't do that same thing with themselves.
Yeah.
And because it's almost like there's some sort of I'm trying to I can't place the word right now, but just like a stigma, I guess, of people that talk kindly to themselves, especially if they talk kindly to themselves out loud, where other people are around. Then they're either wackadoodle, or they're conceited, or they're arrogant or whatever, and it's just, I guess it stems from exactly what you're saying, with internally mirroring externally. So the people that view that, like you're a person that talks kindly to yourself, and then from the outside, somebody else seeing that, if they take it as arrogance or conceit or anything like that, it's like, oh well, that's probably because they can't do it with themselves.
Right. And it's interesting because I have recently started with obviously my close circle. I'm not just walking around town, but when I chat with my friends and the people that I love, and I'm telling them, look at what you've done. Look at this gift you have. Look, and immediately they want to shift it, deflect, and put it back on me. No, Johnna, blah, 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 blah. And I've started to say, I want you to pause. I'm not looking for a compliment. I want you to take out your left hand, that's your receiving hand, and I want you to receive what I am saying and say, oh, yes, I am smart. I am good at my job. Whatever that looks like, I am a good cook, right? Like, start receiving, you guys. And you're so right when you say that if you're someone who can say, hey, I'm good at this. It's perceived to people who haven't healed. That's what it is. That don't have that talk within themselves, that perceive you as being something that is conceited or whatever. Um, it's a tell, right? If you're looking at someone that can speak kindly to themselves and you're calling them conceited, it just is a mirror. And there's a balance there for sure,
Just
right? Because ego likes to come in and, so being aware of how you talk to yourself. When you hear yourself saying those critical things, speak the exact opposite. A really good way to do this is affirmations in the mirror. It is, I mean, that you want to talk about a life-changing thing, pick one. Look in the mirror and say, I'm a strong, badass lady every single day. I'm beautiful. I'm whatever, unique, whatever that is. Say it every day because you start to retrain your brain.
I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the receiving part of it that you were talking about. That I still am, and I hang on a sec, sorry.
Hey, quick pause. If this episode is hitting you and you're ready for real tools, here's what we built.
Head on over to cjelevatedlife.com, pick up the Rebuilt Method for Men or the Rebuilt Method for Women, just $67 each. We also created the Parasite Detox Blueprint at $37. And this is actually the exact protocol we use ourselves.
And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter. You'll get the weekly action steps and new tools we've tested ourselves. Let's get back to the episode.
It's definitely a work in progress, but I definitely have been somebody that does that. That I'm not hearing anything. I'm putting everything right back on the person that gave me a compliment, and I'm really grateful for you calling that out with me, because we've been working on this for a while now. And sometimes it's good. Like, hey, you did awesome at this, and yeah, so did you. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't always have to be, yes, I did, I know,
Right.
but if we both did awesome at something, but if you just tell me, like, you're really good at this, or you did a great job here, rather than finding something to say right back to you, you called it out to me, and like, no, stop, like, exactly what you're saying, like, just fucking receive that.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway.
I just want to say that I used to do the same thing. And then some wise human told me, you need to learn how to receive. I receive, right? And it was hard AF. And I remember like the first few weeks of just still hitting it right back at the other person, like, oh, and I was observing my thoughts going, oh my gosh, you do this all the fucking time. All the time. I just deflect, right? So I actually, because I'm a weirdo, Emma just called me the village weirdo. She was like, Mom, I'm so happy that my mom is the village weirdo. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great compliment. I received that. Anyway, I forget my train of thought, but at the end of the day, really observe your thoughts. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm sitting here with my left hand. I literally like reached out and grabbed it and pulled it in with my left hand because I had to have that body, the physical body doing that in order to receive it. And you know how uncomfortable it is to receive a compliment or whatever and just be like, oh, thank you.
And
That's it. Yeah, not like, thank you. You're blah, 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 blah. Right. And so it takes time because you have to sit in that discomfort. Right. And so anyway,
I know we're kind of belaboring this, but one other thing that I wanted to say about it that just kind of triggered when you were just talking about that is, it also there's unintended consequences to doing that as well. If you're just the deflect, you give me a compliment, I'm going right back to you, because it can definitely make that person, if I'm giving you a compliment and you give one right back to me, it can make me feel like I'm not chasing compliments.
Sure.
So now, it almost invalidates
Yeah.
the compliment or the nice thing, because then it just seems like, oh, I just said that so I could hear something back. And I'm not doing that.
Right.
It-
There are humans out there that do that.
for sure.
Yeah. So, again, there's nuance to everything, but I absolutely agree. Like, I'm not giving you a compliment to hear something back. I want you to feel it through your body, you guys. Like, receive it, feel it through, and just say thank you. Right. So I hope that these things were just.
One more.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
I just tossed my notes on. I'm like, nope, I don't want to do notes.
Number 10, remember how much you've already survived. Every difficult day you've lived through is proof that you're stronger than your current struggle wants you to believe.
Yeah, it's so true.
This is
Unless you're swimming around in the swamp.
exactly.
I'm not talking about swamp swimmers.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not talking to people who do the exact opposite of everything listed here. But for those of you who are on this journey with us, really trying to get better or whatever that looks like, right? You're kicking ass. You're on the right trail, right? So celebrate that.
This one just makes me think of, there's a million versions of the quote, and I can't even think of any of them good now, but basically the concept of taking the lessons and forgetting everything else, of whatever situation. So when you're remembering the things that you went through and survived, really just pulling out the strength, the positives, the good lessons, and not reliving, like we've talked about in several of these other ones, not reliving all the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Yep, it is.
But when you can do that, it's fantastic.
It is. I have been, as my time here is closing and we're in Mercury retrograde, and, I call it the mop up. The mop up is happening, right? Old things from the past, old people from the past trying to penetrate all the things. And and with the sale of the business in the last few weeks, I've just been telling myself, I am so proud of you, Johnna, for what you have gone through, what you have persevered through. There were times when I thought I was going to die. Like my heart ache I literally was just gonna, from sadness or grief or anger or, and I didn't. I fucking didn't. And I came out the other side using these tools, the tools that we gave you today, and all the tools that we try to communicate with you every time you hear our voices through this podcast, right? It's like the joy on the other side when you do the work, when you sit in the uncomfortable, when you know, deal with your shit instead of just talking about dealing with your shit at the fucking bar, right? It's just when you really sit and deal with your stuff, there is this good job, right? Good job, Johnna. Like you did it. And there's going to be more did it. I mean, my life's not over. But give yourself credit, right? For how you've grown. You've lived through some darkness. Bravo to you. Everyone who's hearing this right now, I want you to receive it. I want you to reach out with your left hand. I want you to receive it. Put your hand on your heart. Yes, I received that. I am doing a good job. I'm moving through. I've, made it through some really dark times. And so, yeah, you want to speak more to that?
No, I think that was perfect.
Okay. I hope that these tools were helpful for you guys. We're going to be doing a few podcasts like this, just kind of like a boiling down of what we've been talking about for the last, year and a half, just so you can have these everyday tools. Just a reminder, right? Washing your mind with reminders and tools of how to navigate to get in alignment with your higher self. All right. Have a great day.
We'll talk to you soon.